Welcome to
the Plant-Based Podcast.
In case you didn't know already, plants are amazing. You can
Eat them,
wear them,
drink them,
nourish your skin with them,
grow them,
love them,
and be inspired by them. So why not join us on the Plant-Based Podcast as we speak to the movers, shakers, and growers in this amazing plant world.
This episode of the Plant-Based Podcast is brought to you by our friends at Natural Grower. Launched in 2019, their award-winning liquid fertiliser and soil conditioner is made entirely from maize. Visit naturalgrower.co.uk to nurture your soil and boost your plants and veg. Enter PBP15 for a 15% discount as a PBP subscriber.
Hello!
Welcome! Are you going to have a houseplant tour with me, this gossip?
Oh, well, I'm only here for a houseplant tour.
Oh, right, well. Okay, well, obviously, I bought a house in Suffolk, yes, and I've now got somewhere to put all of those 50 houseplants that I accidentally bought when I was living in Windsor, in a tiny apartment.
Hang on, though. Have you got the chilies?
You what?
Have you got the chilies?
Yeah, why?
Just checking.
Oh, the chili! Oh, God. Peppers. I'm growing peppers. So, have you taken your shoes off, Ellen?
Look, I've taken my...
Fairly extensive tour.
Look, now you're a new homeowner, I've taken my shoes off. I wouldn't want to mess up your home.
Oh, well, come into my 80s boudoir.
Ooh, oh wow, here's a messy pot.
Well, that's you. You've had chips on the sofa. Look at this. This is so 80s. This is nurtura. Have you ever seen this with little berries on top?
That is so cute.
So cute. It's really weird. When I was a kid, I remember one of the neighbours having a table like this, but a plant like this as well. So it feels like I'm
And what does
8
it
years old
need?
again.
Like, how big will it grow?
Oh, just about that. It's probably going to die in a few weeks.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're a throwaway
But you know-
plant geek.
No, but you know some of these plants, because obviously this has been grown to berry, and the berries aren't going to last forever. It's probably unlikely to get it to reflower again in our climate. So it's kind of like just a beautiful little thing.
It's cute.
For a few weeks.
Beautiful
you know.
orange berries.
Yeah. But look at this. Have you seen this before?
What's this? Oh, look, it's
Like the
flowering.
plants are, but-
It's flowering.
Oh, yeah. Maranta.
Look at those beautiful flowers.
Decent, isn't it? It's just so annoying though, because like obviously at night it closes up,
It's like
and then
the
you
prayer
think, oh,
plant.
I've got to water it,
Yeah.
but then no, you haven't.
It just goes to sleep.
Look at the faces though.
And then it opens up. It's beautiful. I just love like all that
No, I'm
foliage
trying to show you the
pattern.
pot, Ellen.
Oh gosh, the
Oh,
pot.
my
The pot.
Is that cool?
No, I
It's got
think
4
it's,
different faces
I
on.
actually think that's gross.
Someone else does that on social media. There's 4 different faces. One of them is smoking a cigarette. And it's so lifelike, it's got little embers at the end.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's horrible.
Really?
Yeah, but I love the plant.
Well, let's maybe give it let's turn it around so it's that one.
That's it. That's
That's
cool.
nicer, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
just
that's
someone
nice.
sticking their tongue
This
out.
reminds me of the Essex allotment guy. He's always
That's what he's
sticking
known
his tongue
for,
out.
isn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
But look on the wall. These are really
Orchids.
cool. But these little pots from Pretty Cactus. And what I did, I said to my friends, obviously they had loads of different pictures up everywhere. I said, you don't need to fill in those holes because I'm going to hang stuff on the walls. So I've got
for sure.
lots more spaces where plants can go.
Amazing.
Or beautiful pictures.
What's next?
Look. Nice collection of plants here.
The windowsill.
Black-leaved Zamia.
The ZZ plant.
Woo, look at that.
Monstera.
Monkey mask, hello.
That is the easiest plant to propagate ever.
Yeah, defo. Get a few yellow leaves from time to time, but that's natural.
Yeah.
You know.
It looks really, really nice. What's this?
Like asparagus fern.
Asparagus fern.
Little palea as well, which is looking really happy and healthy. Little
Pancake
babies.
plant. Baby!
Yes.
Baby plants make me very
Oh, have you touched this
excited.
one? Oh, I went to Pretty Cactus without you, actually.
How dare
I went
you?
with Jen, sorry. Touch this, though.
You
It's
went
like
to
a pup-
Pretty
it's like
Cactus
a
without
puppy's
me.
ears.
Oh, it's so soft.
Peperamia, what is it? Hovaria.
Oh, it's so soft.
Touch the leaves, so soft and thick. That's what it says on the label. What else? Nice orchid. I was sent I did the Fantasy Plant League on my website, and there was a few plants that won the categories, and I approached the breeders to send me those plants. And that one over there is called, what is it? Banana chocolate, which is that dark flowered orchid.
This is absolutely beautiful.
So that won the indoor plant section, and I was given a few nice samples.
It's like got dark petals with like a really light lemony colour around the edges. It is so pretty.
Gorgeous. So these are all new orchids from the Dumman Orange European Breeding Programme.
Awesome.
And some of these are said to have a fragrance as well. So obviously,
can I sniff?
I don't remember which ones.
I'm going to sniff.
Not those.
Let's have a look.
Give them a sniff, darling.
No. Maybe.
Oh.
No.
I can't remember which are which, but Begonia's cool. Look at that. Someone told me it looked like cannabis plant.
No, well, okay, no. Who was telling me that the other day? Oh, some friends of mine were growing tomatoes in their garden. And their teenage son had finally noticed there were tomatoes in the garden and said, I can't believe you're doing that, Mom. And she was like, I know, how cool.
It was,
how cool is that? And he was like, but you're growing cannabis. And she's like, they're tomatoes.
How square. What I'm doing now is emptying my macrame planter because... Obviously, how do you water pots in macrame?
Yeah, you have to take them out,
They're
don't you?
not a long-term thing, are they, really? So I'm going to give these ivy a soak in the sink.
But to be honest, with all of my houseplants, I do once a week, once every 2 weeks, depending on the climate. I put them in the bath. I just take them out of their pots as you know, the outer pot, and plonk them all in the bath, and that's it. And then they're done. Because sometimes when you water, like you get water everywhere else, or some need more than others. So I just stick them all in.
Let's put them in the sink, Ellen.
How exciting!
We're going to the sink live.
Yeah, I'm just.
Like challenge Annika. Follow me with the camera.
It's challenge Annika for plants. Hey,
bowl.
look, this wasn't me. You've got crystal on the floor.
Oh yeah, that was me. This is challenge Annika though. Where's my leotard?
I love how many houseplants you've got already.
I know, but like I just buy them everywhere. Or people send them to me. It's like you can't stop.
What?
Banana.
You've got a mini banana.
Well, it's only mini at the moment.
But look, it's mini. It's so cute.
I know. This is one of my favourite plants, Muhlenbeckia.
Yeah, it's really. But really you have to keep that quite damp, do you?
I think so, but I need to pot a lot of these.
Because I think I've had that and it's died because I've not kept it damp.
Gynura, which sounds like a horrible lady's disease. And these I'm going to use in one of my little terrariums.
Cute.
Have you seen this?
So this is the watering pot where the eyes change colour depending on when the plant needs water. Is that right?
Absolutely. So when you fill that up, it weighs... What happens? It weighs down the pot and then the eyes go brown.
Brown when it needs watering and blue when it's okay.
It needs more.
That's cool.
But do you know what this plant is?
No idea.
No?
What is it? No.
It's a tree tomato.
A tree
Cyphermandra. Yeah, they had a little section in Dobby's last week. They had some exotic fruit and veg.
A tree tomato.
And none of that stuff had sold. It was in the reduced area because it was obviously too weird for people.
That's cool.
And that is so tree tomato, Tamarillo, which is native, I believe, to New Zealand.
Okay.
And it needs to be quite tall before it fruits. I did have a plant at Thompson & Morgan that was maybe 4 foot tall and it started to get some flowers. But you need the long climate as well, long summer for the fruits.
Because it's annual, is it?
Well, when you're growing it in the UK, it would be.
Right, okay.
It needs to go through the winter. But the thing is, it's quite a nice, sexy houseplant with these big leaves.
The leaves are lovely.
Yeah, like, have you seen Sparmania? Sparmania is a really cool plant with big leaves, so quite similar to that in looks.
It's really nice.
Look! I noticed this the other day, my Hoya's got
You've got a flower! Oh my god!
I don't do jack all to it.
That's so pretty. Can I come round and have a little look?
Since I've had it.
I've got a Hoya that's at my friend's house who I need to collect my houseplants from, and I have no idea if it's flowered or what it's doing yet, but that's so
awesome.
cool.
My grandma used to grow those, so I'm so happy to have a flower. Because the flowers are so pretty, and we used to lick the sweet nectar from the flowers.
Like a little bee.
Nice orchids, fiddle-leaf fig, which I always find such a ball ache to grow. They're never happy. They're like...
No, I know. And also, I'm scarred by fiddle-leaf figs because mine brought mealybugs into my house. Really? And then I had a major issue. I refused to have one purely because of that.
I put some of my succulents outside and they've been eaten by rodents. Look, I've got half a string of beads there. My Lithops got eaten by some rodent.
But look at these.
Yeah, but I feel like they're too tall.
I don't think they'll flower.
Yeah.
Are they reaching for the light or something?
They have been. I mean, it's hopefully a bit better now, but we're...
Very cool collection.
Yeah, this is Alocasia.
Ah.
Which is not really growing that quickly out of itself, so... Nice aeonium there. These begonias here, look, nice species begonia. But I've only just got the right conditions for them because they kind of were growing a little bit and then dying back and then growing again. So I think finally they're a bit happier in that darker corner because they like to be on a forest floor.
My Alocasia is not on the windowsill, it's in part shade. Mm-hmm. So it seemed to like it better than being on the windowsill.
Yeah, maybe that should come out of there.
Yeah, perhaps.
It's all a learning curve to find out what's good and what's not.
And do you know what? Even so, I might have one plant at mine that does well on the windowsill and you have one here and it doesn't, you know, it's just... Well, they're all individual plants, so just like people.
Crisp.
Yeah, you have to pick up the crushed crisp off the floor. Yeah. You've got
yucca,
so many
already.
already.
Yucca, you know, it's so
What, because
basic,
you've just got to?
Yeah. Corkscrew rush.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Monstera.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I was in B&Q and I wanted some big plants and I was like barking at all the prices. I was like, so expensive. And I saw a monster. I didn't even look at the price. I just bought it.
Because it's a monster, so you've got fishbone cactus out on your patio as well.
It probably
That's
shouldn't
pretty
be
cool.
outside, but
Well, it looks alright.
Seems cute.
It looks pretty happy.
But the garden's still very blank canvas.
And what about these? Let's just discuss these.
Oh, the Mangava.
The Mangava. Okay, so first of all, they're fabulous. So they're a cross between agave and Manfreda.
Yeah.
And because you've been involved in
the
promoting these, you are now a face on the side of a truck, aren't you?
You're absolutely correct.
So basically when I saw that, A, it is completely cool and amazing, but B, I can now really genuinely call Michael trailer trash.
Get out.
Yeah.
Look, lots of different varieties here, so you see there's a few more over there.
I love the speckled ones.
Yeah.
They're really cool. Like, they're a lot more hardy, aren't they, because of the crossbreeding, I'm told?
Yeah. And also they don't necessarily die after they flower, which is something you have a problem with agave.
Okay.
Look at this cactus. This is an
It's
outdoor
flowering.
cactus. So
Beautiful
that's
red
nice for rockeries and such. Look, these are stone containers that I refashioned.
What is it?
This is Pelargonium crispum.
Ooh,
Fragrant leaf geranium. Rosy.
Wow.
But look at that pot. I bought this at the garden centre. It wasn't in bloom, but I thought I got the feeling it was white.
Right,
but it's
yellow.
It's bloody yellow.
But look, because it works with the cosmos of this pot.
Yeah, true.
And anyway, colour clashes are the best in the garden.
Look at that though.
I'm all for some colour clash.
Blue fuchsia, Delta's blue.
Nice.
Beautiful. But yes, these are stone pots that have been refashioned here.
Yeah, really cool.
A few hostas. This nice new.
What is that?
Midnight gold.
Really if you listening to this, it is absolutely beautiful. So what was that? Petunia Midnight Gold.
That is new.
So the flowers are like a lovely dark, kind of almost black, and then the edges of the petals are gold, basically like yellowy gold. It is beautiful.
Top in one of the. Are you not coming outside?
I haven't got any shoes on. Look, I took my shoes off to enter your house.
It came top in one of the categories in the fantasy plant.
Honestly, it's absolutely beautiful.
There's a box of all things that need to plant it down there as well. I've been sent some lovely pots from Lacusa and Elho as well.
Sure.
So
lots of roses in there.
Plant into.
Hey, and I brought you some vegetables too.
I know. Ready for veggie bag.
It's got some cabbage and some broccoli, courgette. Actually, that courgette is any kind of squash. I don't know what kind because they weren't labelled in my greenhouse, so I don't know. And then there's a tomato and a chili pepper.
Oh, have you tried a veggie bag? Have you seen those?
Oh, yeah, they're ace.
How big is it? Can I fit?
Well, I think probably 1 or 2 plants. Because if you're growing cabbage or broccoli, because they get quite big.
Yeah, true.
And it depends on what size bag you've got, because there's like different sizes. Okay, I would definitely put 2 of those in there.
Okay, I'll see what I can plant up.
Yeah, good experiment.
Look at my shelf here. Oh, must repot these, prick these out. Coleus.
Coleus did you sow these?
Aren't they cute? Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, but they desperately need to be done. Rooted cuttings of blah blah blah. what is it? Tradescantia.
Yeah.
Nice
Easy
orchids. Yeah.
So basically, you are so excited to be walking around your houseplants. This makes me
Pangolin
very
kisses.
happy.
Oh,
What is this one?
Pangolin kisses.
That's cool.
It's a really crazy little succulent. Really
That's
weird.
so cool.
It's kind of too weird for its own good, really. And look, this is really the essence of you. You used to have this in Norwich apartment, didn't you? Gypsophila.
Yeah, in a vase. And it lasts for ages, and even when it dries out, it still looks really pretty. That is the easiest way.
Didn't give it any water.
Yeah, it's great.
Little grow light there.
How
Let me show you
exciting.
this upstairs, though.
Ooh!
Especially in the shower.
Oh, this is exciting. Please tell me you've got like
First of all,
ferns and
toilet
stuff.
plants. I know toilet's fine. You were in there last.
Some
But
pop-ups.
toilet plants in there. What else? Is there anything in there? Oh no, it's just a curly spider plant and some very happy air plants in there.
Your spider plant is flowering too.
Oh yeah.
Did you not notice?
No. I don't think there's any in the bedroom. No. But here, oh, there's not much here at all. A lava rock plant. It's like, oh, I picked this towel up this morning. Honestly, why can't it stay in place?
Come on, hang your washing
It's
up.
blowing off. And this is hydroponics.
Ah,
But you've got to
nice.
see the bathroom.
This is exciting. I can hardly contain myself.
Look, so first of all, beautiful ferns, but look in the shower.
Oh, yeah, that's an awesome idea. So loads of tillandsia on the
That
tiles
was
of the
flower.
shower in little kind of like holders that are like the rubber ones that stick to the tiles. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's an awesome idea.
I knew you'd be proud.
I'm super proud. And your fern.
Oh,
Nice,
fern and
nice,
calathea, I think.
Yeah,
Might
that's
be
network.
Yeah, it might be too sunny here. What do you
Calathea
think?
network. Yeah, I think it won't
Yeah,
like that.
So,
Mine is a bit diva-ish wherever I move it to, but it will carry on going.
Calatheas, Maranta, put
Yeah.
them all in the bin.
Well, this is very exciting.
Yes, I know, Bella.
I have a feeling your collection is going to grow vastly over the next couple of months. I'm very proud.
We just can't help ourselves, you know?
We can share cuttings now.
I know!
That's when you know that you're with true plant geeks.
Oh, thanks for coming on my magical mystery tour.
I won't tell everyone what I really saw. So today we are calling to the other side of the world.
Oh,
Ooh, I know. Don't we take you on travels, hey, around all of the globe? And we are speaking to Greg Bourke, who is over in Sydney. He's the Curator Manager at the Blue Mountains Botanic Garden. I mean, this is going to be a really cool episode on the podcast.
We've got Greg on Skype, but I thought because you're in Australia, you should be upside down, right?
That's just
I'm standing upside down, so yes.
Ah, okay.
like the
Well,
oldest
Skype has
joke.
corrected it.
The
for you.
oldest
Yeah.
joke
I
in the
know,
book
sorry.
comes from Michael. So, Greg, we would love to know more about what you do over there at the Blue Mountains Botanic Garden. You know, your role as Curator Manager. It must be a fabulous job to do, having been, both of Michael and I have been to the Blue Mountains Garden, and it is just such a beautiful place. So tell us more about what you do there.
Yeah, well, I've been there for 9 years now, and I still, every day when I walk in through the visitor centre to my office and look out at that wonderful view, it's just... It's mind-blowing that that's where I work. And, of course, every day is different. I always say to people, you've got to come back over and over because it changes every day. Some days, you know, that mist rolls in and you can't see anything, and others it's that glorious blue mountains, blue sky. But, yeah, so I've been there for 9 years. My role started off as the assets manager, so... Unlike a lot of people in botanic gardens, I started my career as an electrician. Had always had a passion for plants. As a kid, I loved plants and I loved nature. But, yeah, I started a career as an electrician. It seemed like a great way to go out and earn some cash. And I didn't mind the work. And all my spare time was spent out in the bush. But 10 years ago, I decided I've had enough of that. I want to get into botanic gardens and conservation. And a role came up at the Botanic Gardens for that role in asset management. So I started there, and 18 months later, it all changed. So I was then thrust into the Curator Manager role, and and the rest is history. I still can't believe that I changed careers so quickly and so well. But it's amazing.
I think that if you're just really passionate about something and you go for it, you can make that happen in horticulture.
Yeah,
don't
but
you think?
Did you have a passion for plants at a young age then? Like when you were a kid, teenager, were you growing plants at home? Did you have any specific interests?
Yeah, well, my parents and grandparents all grew veggies, so I was always watering, weeding, pulling, eating around the yard, and we lived on the edge of the Royal National Park south of Sydney, so we bushwalked all the time. My parents had us outdoors all the time, so that passion grew really early on, but I didn't really start growing plants intensively until I was in my teens. I think around then I started to discover the weird and wonderful plants
cool.
that really captured my imagination. And then as I started to collect things and of course earn money so I could spend all my wages on plants, that's when it really got out of hand.
We completely understand that. That never stops, does it?
No, I have not,
Do they ever ask you, if there's like an electrical fault at the garden, are they like, oh, it's okay, Greg's here, Greg can fix it?
I do. I still have my license, so I still fix the odd fault at the garden, but even when I was managing the assets, I think I spent more time in the garden than I did looking after the place.
Funny. So I know you touched on your love of kind of weird and unusual plants, and in part 2 we are going to tell everyone about that. We're going to talk about carnivorous plants and unusual plants that you grow and breed. But I'd really love to know kind of like how the garden has developed over the years that you've been there, because whenever we talk to anyone from any garden, I mean, gardens evolve, don't they, so much, and I'd love to know kind of in the time that you've been there, how has it changed? How has the garden changed? How has the climate changed there as well?
Yeah, well, it's a young garden. It's only 35 years old. It looks much older because the Brunette family, who donated the garden to the people of New South Wales, had an extensive plant collection, and a lot of mature trees are from that era. It's a very young garden, but because of the rich basalt soil, everything grows so rapidly.
Oh, so jealous.
So when I started, it was an overplanted garden, and I guess in some ways thematics had drifted, so the staff had sort of gone their own ways, some for good and some not so much. And so when I started, my task was to review where we were thematically and look at ways to open up the garden a little bit, and we're still doing that now. But there was a bit of thinning initially. A lot of wow and colour and change came into the displays. My then director at the time, Jimmy Turner, who I know you both know, came on board in Sydney, and his influence and knowledge for colour planting was instrumental into some of those changes at Tomar, and that really helped open the place up to a new audience. At the same time I started there, the garden became free entry, so that created its own opportunities and challenges. So, different demographic of people coming in, a lot more people. We doubled our visitation almost overnight.
Wow.
So some challenges there. But then, of course, my plant collector passion, my passion was really fed in that role. Was suddenly let's go and find all the African plants we don't have in the collection, and let's go and find some South American and stuff. So
that must be such fun. Wow.
Tell us about some of the ones that you've got there. Some of the new ones that you've introduced.
What's the rarest?
What's the rarest? Look, the Wallamai pine is really that's our poster child, and it is it occurs naturally just across a few ridges from where we're situated. So that's really our special plant. But we've got things like the dwarf mountain pine, which very few people know much about, and it occurs only in the Blue Mountains as well. And it's this beautiful trailing conifer only occurs on waterfalls. Wow. So it's a really quite a special tree, or large shrub rather. Then I guess we've got some rare African stuff. Everyone wants to collect a lot of that stuff because it's so damn cool. The flowers are so vibrant. We've got some very neat carnivorous plants in the collection, and that collection is growing all the time. And our state emblem, the waratah, is another plant that I'm really passionate about, Tilapia speciosissima. And I've collected material from all over the place, all over the state, and I'm working on a breeding program for them. Wow. I think I'm up to about, 4,000 plants. Wow. Cool. Looking at some amazing new varieties of them, and we'll start probably publicising some of them later this year. So that's a bit of side. When I get sick of paperwork, I just go out and play with
plants. Are they the ones with the really huge like flower heads? Yeah.
Absolutely. Big red, blood red flower.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if we could go on a little tangent here. I'm just wondering what are the most common Australian plants that we would grow in the UK. And I'm kind of thinking maybe callistemon, bottlebrush, or eucalyptus. What other things do we grow day to day that actually come from Australia?
I've seen, when I was over there a couple of years ago, scaevola was getting quite common in potted colour. Yeah. And that's the Goodiniaceae is a group that I'm absolutely fascinated with and doing a fair bit of work on at the moment. And there's close to 500 species in that group. Wow. And there's only 3 that are commonly cultivated. So stay tuned for more of those in the UK.
Wow.
How about Isotoma laurentia? That's become quite big here, and that's from Australia as well, right?
It is another one that really we've barely scratched the surface with the variety in it and the breeding that can be done with it. When you look at Australian flora, I guess botanists have tackled the low-hanging fruit, the things that are obviously beautiful, the grevilleas, the banksias that are really in your face, the callistemons and the like. But there is so much out there. I'm travelling all the time and finding things that should be in perennial borders in the UK, and they're not even in cultivation anywhere.
Wow.
So that's my real passion now in the garden, is bringing a lot of that new stuff in, stuff that's tolerant of wetter soils, warmer climates, because obviously things are changing a bit, and heavier soils, so that you don't have to try too hard to grow these things in everyone's garden.
Definitely. That's amazing.
There's another plant that I think you've posted from time to time, which I would love to start growing, which is Leschnotia, and that's got the really rich, vibrant blue, and I think that could be a real kind of fighter for the lobelia market in the UK.
I don't know what that is.
Because lobelia burns out very quickly. It's kind of really, really rich blue, like kind of scrub plant, isn't it? But in lots of different colours as well, I've seen.
Yeah, from white right through to royal blue. Yeah. But Leschnotia, the genus, so that's in Goodiniaceae, so that's a group I'm really interested in. But Leschnotia comes from reds, oranges, whites, yellows and blues. And again, there's been no breeding, and the material that's in cultivation, it's like someone's got out of the plane in Perth, grabbed the first Leschnotia and put it in cultivation. They occur right across the southwest corner, so there's some really compact, beautiful little things. There's big shrubby ones. So, I'm doing some breeding with them as well. they're a little bit touchy in heavier soils and with summer rain.
Mm-hmm.
So you might need to do some grafting there, or may be able to breed that out with some of the South Coast ones. But yeah, it's gorgeous.
Cool, yeah, really cool plant.
Well,
Sorry, that was a real Plant Geek tangent.
That was a Plant Geek moment. All I can say is that it's summer raining here right now, so that's not very good. And
it's really dull. It's just
dull, yeah. And I was super excited when I came over to the garden and found the peonies. I genuinely hadn't expected peonies at the Blue Mountains Botanic Garden. That must have been Jimmy, was it?
No, we had them before Jimmy. I think we might have added 100 cultivars when Jimmy arrived, but strangely, with our crazy weather, we actually have some peonies in flower right now.
Really?
Which should, yeah. So, yeah, but they are just gorgeous plants. I didn't know anything about them until a few years ago. Mm-hmm. But I've definitely fallen in love with the peonies. They're as big as your head. It's just incredible.
Yeah, you can't help but fall in love with peonies, can you?
To be a bit dumb now, so you're in the winter now, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So what sort of temperature is this for you there?
We're probably just 1 or 2 below zero at night. At
when it's not cold, I can't imagine what it's like to be cold. Isn't it weird? I've forgotten how winter feels.
And we're maybe getting to 12 or 15 in the day, so it's pretty warm in the day.
Okay.
Yeah. I've it was kind of 40 degrees-ish most days in North Carolina, so I got back to England when it was still a bit sunny, and now it's raining and I'm literally freezing cold. It's like I've got a big thick jumper on in the middle of July.
But your weather was quite changeable there as well, right?
Yeah, but even when it rained really, really heavy, it was still hot.
Yeah.
And humid, so humid, you know.
Different.
Anyway, so we're talking about the weather, which probably, nicely brings us on to like the climate and climate change and everything that's going on in the world at the moment. And you guys have suffered the worst wildfires ever. I mean, everyone around the world was, hoping and praying for you, and how did that affect the gardens there?
Yeah, well, it's December 15th was the day that I'll never forget when it started for me. But, we've been through a couple of really bad droughts, and leading into the summer of last year, we knew that it was going to be a bad season. The soil moisture was incredibly low. There just hadn't been any rain, and it warmed and got windy very early. And when you look at the trends, I've got monthly rain data for about 40 years at Tomar, and there's been a few dips over the years, but nothing like this. 6 years in a row of really insignificant rainfall and really dry winters leading into summer. So we were expecting it to be really terrible, and of course it was. We had the fire that affected us started in October, so we had seemingly a lot of time to prepare for it, but of course when the day comes, you're never quite as prepared as you'd like to be. And so we had 70-metre high flames, which, still when I point at the trees and the flames that were twice the size of the trees, it still doesn't really seem real to me that it was so intense. But of course it was, and we'd closed the garden a few days leading up to it, and I had to open it on the day as a point of refuge for local residents. Mm-hmm. So I was there on my own with the RFS around and a few visitors rolling in to seek refuge as their own houses burned. We lost, I think, about 12 houses just in the next couple of streets. So it was quite a surreal, quite an incredible day. And then I fought fire for, I think it was 15 days straight, and then 46 days in total. So it just seemed to go on forever. Mm-hmm. But, so a very, very crazy time. But and we lost all of our 180 hectares of natural wilderness. The that was heavily affected. Of course, it's the Australian bush, so it is recovering in some way, but I'm not sure we'll ever see it the same again. It was the heat was so intense in the soil that it's completely destroyed the soil biome, and the eucalypts that usually spring back are not. Areas where it was cooler, it is recovering quite well, but it was very intense. And then we lost probably almost a third of the garden inside the ornamental garden was affected.
Oh, no way.
Gosh.
So we're still assessing what survived and what didn't. We've got our North American collection, which was fairly heavily impacted, and a lot of our conifers were heavily impacted. But it's also surprising what comes back. Some of the things like ginkgos that were really quite heavily scorched have recovered.
Wow.
And recovered really quickly. So a lot of these plants are more resilient than we think.
Yeah, we have to remember they've been here long before us, so they've been through a lot, you know.
Well, especially with the Wollemi pine, because we saw that in the news here, and it's not very often that, you know, an actual plant gets the headlines, you know, around the world. What happened with that? Because there was like a protective ring put around what were billed as being the last Wollemi pine on Earth in natural habitat. What's the real story behind that, please, Greg?
Yeah, so there's only a small number of wild plants, and of course they're very precious, that wild site. We still haven't studied that as well as we would have liked to, but so members of our sister organisation, the National Parks, and my own team went out and put in some irrigation and set that up, and then someone was helicoptered in on the day that the fire impacted that area to turn that on and just provide a bit of extra moisture around the pines. And so they were affected, but not as heavily as they could have been. So we're pretty grateful for the team that actually helped keep them alive, and hopefully now we've got a good break in fire frequency so they can recover and keep going.
Well, we have our fingers very tightly crossed for you, that's for sure. Crazy times. Okay, so one of the things that obviously is so well known over the Blue Mountains is that they're blue. They're called Blue Mountains for a reason, but can you explain to us why they are? Where did they get their name from?
Well, we've got 97 species of eucalypts in the Blue Mountains, and the evaporation of the moisture from those leaves puts eucalyptus oil into the air, and that produces that blue haze. So you've kind of got the haze of the light against the eucalypt leaves, which are generally bluish, but you've also got that eucalyptus oil in the air that gives it that really unique blue haze.
I mean, it just looks surreal and serene.
Does it give a eucalyptus fragrance in the air? Because I can't remember. Does it give any fragrance too? Yeah.
No, not really. I can't discern it, but when they're in flower, you certainly smell the sweet nectar scent of the flowers.
Yeah, I don't think I've been there and been able to smell anything.
I tried, this thing where you can put eucalyptus twigs just under the shower head, and it then kind of but that doesn't really work.
It does. If you get a really big bunch of eucalyptus,
maybe I was too dry or dead.
No, you need to have like a big bunch, and if you put it under the shower, tie it in the shower, especially if you've got a cold, and then you let the steam lift the oils out of the leaves. It really, really does help to decongestion.
Life-changing?
All plants are life-changing. All plants are life-changing.
But eucalyptus are plants that we would see grown a lot here in the UK. Certain species, perhaps gunnii most likely, but they can be grown as trees. I know I planted one in my parents' garden and it got way too big. They got a bit annoyed. But you can actually cut them down, almost coppice them and create a shrub with them. So kind of, have you got any recommendations for if people do want to grow eucalyptus at home? Are there any true genetic dwarfs or any super unusual ones that you could recommend?
Yeah, there's such a huge variety of eucalypts, and there are some that will mallee, so they do coppice. But we've found when we put them in at the garden at Tomar, that because our beautiful rich soil was so good for them, that they just took off and turned into trees. But yeah, you can prune them quite heavily, and they will stay in a shrub form. So just like you would an azalea or a camellia, you can quite heavily, and they'll respond well. I love them all, but the blue gum is my favourite. So you need a really big yard for this one because it's going to grow, 40 metres tall. But the blue gum is just gorgeous. So if you've got a big block, definitely put half a dozen.
What about the rainbow? What about the rainbow eucalyptus with its gorgeous multicoloured bark?
That's a cool one.
Yeah, well, it's not an Australian native though. It doesn't occur here. It's Philippines, and I saw them in Thailand actually last year, and I hugged that tree for minutes. I was just in love.
I saw one in Florida, and I was just like, "What is that?" And it looked amazing. It just looks so beautiful.
We used to grow. I got one more eucalyptus to mention. It's actually a smaller patio one. I've just found it here on the internet. It's Eucalyptus citriodora. And that is one that has a lemon fragrance, just like a lemon verbena. That's a really cool, very small one that you can almost use in summer patio pots, can't you? And easy from seed as well, that one.
Yeah, and Physofolia is another one. There's been a lot of work done with it. There's a lot of variation in colour form. And they're grafted, especially to be smaller trees, and grafted onto stronger roots. So if you see Physofolia in the UK, I'd strongly recommend that because it generally beautiful big red flowers. It's gorgeous.
How lovely.
There's a lot of different plants and plant names in the podcast today. We will make sure that we kind of put those in the show notes and also show some pictures on the website at the same time. So
Michael's totally got his Plant Geek on. He's writing everything down, taking notes, you name it. Well, thanks, Greg. And we'll be back in part 2 to talk about your growing and breeding of unusual and carnivorous plants.
Yeah, time for the weird and wacky.
This episode of the Plant-Based Podcast is brought to you by our friends at Natural Grower. Visit naturalgrower.co.uk to nurture your soil and boost your plants and veg.
So we're into part 2 and we're going to home in on carnivorous plants. These are plants that are fascinating to you, to me, to everybody out there. But Greg, where did your fascination begin? And tell us about your journey with carnivorous plants, because you're super knowledgeable and you love them, all shapes and sizes, don't you?
I do. I've been quoted many a time as saying I love them more than my family, and I'm owning that now. But yeah, my fascination started when I was 4 years old. I got a book with plants of the world, and it contained, things like Rafflesia and Amorphophallus, some of these weird and wonderful Welwitschia and stuff like that. Yeah. But it had a double page of different carnivorous plants, and then must have been around that time bushwalking with my parents. I saw my first sundews in the wild, and being very short, close to the ground, you pay more attention to the plants close to the ground, right? So there I was poking and prodding away at these sundews. I don't know how old I was when I knew that they were carnivorous, but I just knew that they were cool. So yeah, I tried growing a few when I was a kid, and like most people, got some fly traps, killed them many times, and then in my teens was when I really, I'd started to find things like the American pitcher plants, the Sarracenia, and started growing a few of them. And once I'd seen Attenborough's Private Life of Plants, that was it. I was hooked.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Hard not to be, isn't it? So tell us about the kind of plants that you grow and breed yourself then. Does that include carnivorous plants, or is it like other unusual plants?
Yeah, look, it's many and varied now, but my potted collection, I think, is about 10,000 plants, and 90% of that is carnivorous for sure. So yeah, I've got every group of carnivorous plants represented, in my collection. And of course, I love breeding any of them, any that I can cross-pollinate and produce something new, I will. Mm-hmm. Even though I like the species better, it's just a bit of fun, right, to produce something new and cool and perhaps name it after a loved one or your boss.
Oh, your boss.
Anything for some brownie points. But yeah, so the carnivorous plants, I've done a little bit of dahlia breeding. I love dahlias. Mm-hmm. Of course, the waratahs that we talked about before. Nerines, I love nerines as well, and I've done a bit with them. Mm-hmm. The family Goodiniaceae and Stylidiaceae, 2 Australian groups of 300 to 500 species, and playing around with those. And I've done a few veggies as well. I've been trying to produce carrots that are better suited to my climate. So just getting all the different varieties that are available and doing a bit of pollination and collecting the seed. I think, just producing from seed things that are better suited, more pest resistant for your climate is good fun.
You are an absolute plant geek.
Yeah.
You just mentioned about breeding new carnivorous plants, and you did actually just post a photograph on social media very recently about a new plant that you were after a name for. So can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so that's a Sarracenia hybrid, and I produced, I think I had about 300 this year that I was sort of shortlisting, and thought I'd throw it out there to the audience and see what sort of names people came up with. And I think I've got about 50 names that I want to use. I haven't settled on one for that plant yet, because there's about 10 that I think are great. So I might have to put that one back out to social media and see if people can vote, and I'll just pick the best one. But yeah, look, I think one of the things I've really been passionate about over the years is getting kids interested in conservation. And there's 2 ways I think that really capture kids' imagination. One is edible plants. If you talk about fruit and veg and get them involved, they just love it. And of course, the other is carnivorous plants. As soon as you show them a Venus flytrap closing around a fly or a cricket, mm-hmm. they're just captivated. And that, having them involved in plants through carnivorous plants has been a key for me over the years.
It is fascinating to a child just to see a bug being caught and the plant moving and ingesting it. I mean, it's
as long as they don't push them in there manually.
Yeah, because you can't just do it yourself, can you? And I in North Carolina, the Venus flytrap is native to about 70-80 miles around the coastline, and we were actually going to go this year, weren't we, Michael? We were going to go head out and go plant hunting, but obviously we haven't been able to do that this year, maybe next year. But they are just a fascinating plant, so I completely get why you are a complete plant geek about carnivorous plants. That particular plant that you posted looked very raspberry-like to me, and I looked at it for ages. I was like, raspberry. So I think someone said raspberry beret.
Really?
Yeah, I think someone said that. But I was like, it eats things, so it's like a monster, like raspberry monster. And then I was thinking of ice cream, like raspberry ripple. All of these, and I couldn't. I had so many names that I thought if I would bombard you with names, so I'll let everyone else do that. Anyway.
Enough plants for every name you can come up with.
Yeah. So, what about beginners like growing at home then? Because, like, when I was a kid, kind of everybody starts to grow a Venus flytrap, but is that the easiest one to start with?
I don't think it is. I think the biggest problem with the Venus flytrap is that they tend to go dormant in the winter, and I'm sure I've thrown some out thinking they were dead when they were actually dormant. Mm-hmm. But the sundews are definitely the easiest. Mm-hmm. The Cape sundew from South Africa, Drosera capensis, is a really easy one. And probably a lot of your locals, Drosera rotundifolia, would be a nice one for people to grow. And, of course, the American pitcher plants, the Sarracenia, are really easy. And all you need is a nice acidic mix. I know we try to move away from peat moss where possible. So there's some great products in the UK that are made from decomposed pine bark, which are sustainable and a great growing medium. So you just need a nice acidic medium like that without much nitrogen in it, and a sunny spot. So, if you can get 6 hours of sunlight through summer, the plants will thrive in those conditions, and just keep them wet.
I think actually over here in the UK, some people get confused with carnivorous plants because they're often placed in the houseplant section, so inside the garden centre. So people think that they can only be grown inside, but actually they are better outside. They're more likely to die inside. And I was talking to someone from Predator Plants, so he sells carnivorous plants in the UK, and he was saying no, they should be outside. If you've got the right spot, the right soil and some sun, then they should be outside.
I saw something the other day on Twitter, really embarrassing. Somebody had planted their first terrarium, and it was like a closed-style terrarium, and inside they'd put a cactus, a succulent, and a Venus flytrap. Oh my God, hello. You don't know where to start with that.
That's just not going to work. The one thing that I wonder is, obviously, carnivorous plants, feed off bugs. And what about the beneficial insects? Do they kind of eat everything, or is there some kind of deal between them and the bees that the bees won't go near them? How does that work?
Well, they all have different strategies. Some, like the Sarracenia, they send their flowers up first, so the bees come in and do the business of pollination, and then the traps come up. So they'll often eat the bees after the bees have done the pollination. Others, like a lot of the Australian sundews, they put their flowers well up above the plant, so they're unlikely to catch their pollinators. And, of course, they try to attract different pollinators to prey. So they'll eat the butterflies and the dragonflies, and then the moths or the beetles will come and pollinate the sundews. So, different strategies between them. Some of them are just really aggressive, like the Bornean pitcher plants, and they just eat everything.
But I think this is just all part of nature, isn't it? I know that I've seen something on social media maybe last year now about, be careful, don't have your pitcher plants because they will also eat bees. But I think if you have a really nice biodiverse area, nature kind of does look after itself. But someone did give me a tip, I know this sounds really crazy, but someone said if you were really, really worried, to get a straw and a bit of cotton wool and put the straw through the cotton wool and then drop that into the plant. And apparently the bugs will still get eaten, but the straw is too small for the bee.
I think it's unlikely a pitcher plant's going to suddenly grab a bee. I don't know.
I was just told that.
But there is, this Nepenthes ampullaria, which is like a vegetarian, isn't it? Because that is, you tell us about that, because it's actually developed and evolved in a different way, that it doesn't even catch insects, does it?
That's right, yeah. So the story with that, and a number of pitcher plants, they're all taking advantage of that little niche environment. So Ampullaria forms clusters of pitchers, which will often cover large areas of the ground, and their lids are set right back, so they're not... The lid, usually in most species, it's set over the trap to stop the rainwater getting in, whereas Ampullaria, the lid is greatly reduced and it sits back, so the rain can fall directly in, and of course leaf litter falling from the canopy falls directly into the pitchers. It also has a strong association with the tiny little frog that lives over there, and it only breeds inside the pitchers of Ampullaria.
Because it's safe.
Of the frog help break down that leaf material and, of course, drop their droppings in the pitchers, and that's what feeds the plant. Yeah. So, the stories are great and varied. Not all the bugs are prey either. in Australia, one of the groups I'm working on at the moment is a genus called Psittacurus, and they're little assassin bugs, and they can walk around on the sundews without getting trapped. Mm-hmm. They feed on the prey that the plant's caught. And we still don't know how that relationship works, whether it's truly symbiotic or whether the bugs are taking advantage. But
wow.
So,
because this other urban legend of the Nepenthes, I think Raja, some shrews use that as a toilet. They just kind of sit on the side and their droppings go in, and then that is obviously what feeds the plant rather than an actual rodent. But then isn't there some stories that like they can sometimes, if they fall inside, the plant will then eat them?
Like
or is that
rat.
just urban myth? Yeah. What's the story there?
That's absolutely true. So the shrews and the rats are about typical rat size. Mm-hmm. And they feed on the traps. They drop their droppings or their wee in the pitcher, and of course the plant feeds on that nutrients. But occasionally they do fall in and drown, and the plant does consume them.
Wow!
And I've had mice in my pitcher plants here, and in about 6 weeks, all you have is a little bit of fur left over.
Wow! So that is truly a mammal-eating plant, then.
Yeah.
Basically, you have carnivorous plants and you have herbivorous plants. Herbivorous.
Is that the right word? I'm not sure.
Well,
I'm not sure it's even a word, Ellen.
Herbivore. But a herbivore is someone who only eats plants.
Yeah,
the vegetarian ones. Yeah.
There's both, basically.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's really cool. Before we finish up, so if somebody is trying to grow carnivorous plants like on a windowsill indoors, like say the basic ones like a sundew or Venus flytrap, what are like really 3 basic rules? Because you often hear about rainwater, the compost mix, the lighting. What are really 3 very easy tips for people at home?
Keep it damp. High humidity, so if you've got an air conditioner nearby, put a dome over it or something just to keep the humidity up, and lots of light. They love light, they love moisture, and they love humidity.
Cool.
And do they need rainwater, or can we use bottled water or filtered water? How does that really work?
It depends on where you are. Like in Sydney, the tap water is fine. We use tap water for our plants, but if your water is soft, it's not going to work too well with the plants. But yeah, bottled water, even carbonated water is even better, because carbonated water, produces that little bit of carbon dioxide that helps them grow as well. But yeah, rainwater, of course, is good, unless you've got acid rain.
Okay. I don't think so.
I've only ever watered my plants with tap water, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, but I know they're kind of a lot more fussy about the minerals that are in tap water, so
like
if you can have something more pure.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Cool. Thank you so much. It's been so interesting. I feel like we've had like a completely plant geeky hour or however long it's been. Greg, how can listeners find you online and on socials?
I do a few of them. I think Twitter's good. Greg Bourke 3, I think I am. And from there, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. I'm just me on all of them. And yeah, if you search carnivorous plants, I'm bound to be there somewhere.
I think if you just Google Greg Bourke carnivorous plants, there'll be plenty of videos that come up on YouTube as well.
Oh, awesome. I'll check it out.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure to chat with you.
Cool. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for having me.
This episode of the Plant-Based Podcast is brought to you by our friends at Natural Grower. Launched in 2019, their award-winning liquid fertiliser and soil conditioner is made entirely from maize. Naturally rich in nitrogen, potash, phosphate and other trace elements that plants and vegetables love. It is approved by the Soil Association, Vegan Society and Organic Farmers and Growers. Visit naturalgrower.co.uk to nurture your soil and boost your plants and veg. Enter PBP15 for a 15% discount as a PBP subscriber.
Thanks for listening. You should now be at least 25% more obsessed by plants.
Please follow us on social media. You'll find us by typing in the Plant-Based Podcast.
We also have a fabulous website. Go to theplantbasedpodcast.net.
So tell your friends, leave a review. Why not write a letter to your local MP? Please spread the word about the Plant-Based Podcast.
Oh yes, see you next time, plant friends. The theme music for the Plant-Based Podcast is an excerpt from the song Grow by Mikey James, and our editing is done by Gareth Patch of Semi Echo.